Hello, cruise mates, it's your Wonderful Wind Mage, your Cruz Ship Servant, Chartreuse Proxy, ever and always at your service. Hello everybody, it is February 14, and we are pleasantly surprised today to get an Omega Strikers patch, as you can see by the patch notes updates. That's because I'm recording, I should blow myself up a little bit here. So, let's just do a quick rundown on what we've done before. So, what's up, gang? Like I said in the previous patch, most of the team is still working on secret stuff. We can test that out for Odie's next game and everything like that. But we're still getting small minor updates and everything like that. So let's go over it together. System changes. Yes, you can DM your friends in Omega Strikers. Nice! That's actually pretty nice for friends that you, if you vibe with teammates in a ranked match, for instance, and you want to add them, or just make it a little bit easier if you're not using Discord or any other third-party services, or even like playing with viewers, for instance, especially with how good custom games are, I feel. That's actually pretty good, I feel. In-game HUD update, I'm going to be previewing that afterwards here, just to really test it out and see, but I'm just blind reacting to the things right now. Maps and modes. Reworked Gates of Obscura and Night Market in. I love Night Market, so I'll take that. Gates of Obscura. Goal barrier shape changed. No under-spawns corner portals. No under-spawns additional portals in overtime. So it's just going to be the up and down ones. And that's what it looks like. It's also looking at the new HUD too. A little nicer on that end, I suppose, when you're looking at like the icons. But I kind of like the squarer ones themselves. That's just me, like, MOBA brain, and maybe Clarity just goes better with that. I do like the icon for your evade/burst, though, actually having a meter and percentage. That's really going to help out in actually discerning how close you are, because I've failed so many times with trying to dribble the ball, thinking I'd be one strike away from a core flip. So that's actually a really good go to change, and I might rock the new UI for that. But it did say that you can still use the original HUD, too, so that's actually pretty important and nice if I'm not feeling it as much. Rotated out. Toyer and Tor in Athens City. L for Toyer and Tor getting rotated out. I think it's gotta be still one of the best, if not the best, Omega Strikers map that we've had, just for how broad it is itself. But, you know, it's had its time in the limelight enough. Fair enough, I can see Athens City getting rotated out again. If they bring Orb Awakenings back again, and they rotate out Athens City, I'm actually gonna be mad. Alright, getting back to it. Strikers, system-wide. Light hits now generate regeneration water for less time than normal hits, meaning that your regen time after taking damage is going to be quicker. That's actually a pretty significant change, I feel, all things considered. Considering how KO meta's, you know, still been present enough, at least in my ELO, of high diamond, low platinum, low challenger and everything like that. I feel that's actually a pretty good change, considering how good light hits can just be a pressure in general, because Rasmus is definitely not going to miss a point-blank whiplash. Kai using a barrage defensively, just using it in front of the line, you're going to take some hits, and sometimes when you're just trying to control the core, getting plugged by a stray light hit can really mess you up and just lock you out of the game even more. So, actually, not a bad change, all things considered. I do like that, honestly. I really do like that. Considering how many hits do hit that light spectrum, that's pretty nice, all things considered, to not have to worry about that on that end afterwards. Or rather, to worry about it to a lower extent. Aimee enjoyers have worked their way back to the top of the win rates. Firewall Sentry being nerfed, understandable. I've been enjoying Aimee way too much, and she's just been pretty solid, especially with the current set of Awakenings. She benefits from size, she benefits from CDR, she benefits from power. She's just really nice right now. Firewall Sentry, of course, being the game changer. Very good. A very good and understood nerf, even though I'm not gonna like it as an Aimee player. Asher, Barrier Beam. The core should no longer go through Asher's primary shield, I think, for real this time. Yeah, dude, that's been something that's been existing for, like, forever now, it feels like. Because they hit each other insanely fast. Well, look, that's really just making Barrier Beam a lot more consistent, hopefully, and considering how that's always the biggest concern whenever it comes to Asher, yeah, we're really just gonna have to hope that that actually just works after all the times we've seen the bug fixes. Drekar is super OP and his mains are winning a lot, Noah getting a little bit more nerfed. I mean, understandable. The few times I'm not seeing Drekar too much, quite frankly, but the times I do see them, I just get absolutely steamrolled. 0.5 seconds, I don't think it's gonna do too much for killing the mains who want to play him, but it is, you know, it is still something to just be like, hey, we know it's something. 4 Dubers a minute, kill him. Statter drove tier, 600 to 500. Yes, Because forward Dubers have been getting away with a lot of stupid stuff, and I feel with them going on to just the more cheesy and easy to execute strategies, like unless you preemptively evade, you're going to get hit by a missile propulsion tofu fortress on the edge, and then you're literally just locked out of the play or you die. And then just like he just gets to challenge goalies so much too. Like even forward Dubu versus goalie Dubu mirror matches are just kind of weird if you're an outside forward trying to support your team in that end. But I think this is pretty good, all things considered. Finny is kind of on a struggle bus recently. Big Finish being given additional range, I think that's pretty decent. Even if Demon Dice is in the rotation, and that's really what everybody thinks about with Finny, Big Finish is really super good for trying to just slow down the pace on making plays. So this is actually not too bad for just helping her have a little bit more global presence, especially if she doesn't have Deadeye and Missile Propulsion. Juliet, last patch rate Juliet with a couple nerfs and is still performing a touch below expectations. I haven't seen as much Juliet's, I will be honest, but I think that's just because, like, who needs hard forces when Kazan kills and then everything else just falls on with that end. Fiery Fist being lowered a little bit, that's fair enough. I mean, opposite of Drekar, plus, I'd say minus 0.5 seconds, plus 0.5 seconds. Not gonna be the biggest thing now, honestly, but you know, if her dash is up, her punch is probably going to be up, and this just kind of equates it all together. Not the worst thing ever. Juno, stepping on those blobos was hurting. Strike your friends. PvP power getting lowered and core not back unchanged. Yes. I do think this is actually pretty nice, considering how many times I've died or really had to kill my own stagger, considering how if I see a Juno immediately taking a Deadeye or like a 1-2 punch, I have to step on a Blobo and not let it take control to cut off its own passing lanes to other Blobos and such like that. Or just, quite frankly, you know, if I get friend flinged, I get hit by the Blobo, and then if I try to move forwards to win core control off of first touch, I just get hit by the Blobo again, the lingering one. This is totally fine. Juno just got away with so much free damage, quite frankly, I feel. Just by doing her, executing her own game plan and forcing people to respect them, so this is pretty fine. I really like that, though. Kazan van Rick is through the roof, so bringing him back into the house he broke. Carried away in Maddening Descent, which is his secondary open dive. Cooldown increased, power taken down by 15, not bad. 1395, 1387.5. Plus, okay, the wording was just a little weird. So instead of it just being 207 power, it's 203 power. I just didn't understand that at first. Hitbot size decreased huge, but now scales properoid size. Okay, I wasn't seeing things whenever I tried to Maddening Descent on people. Very good changes, honestly. Kazan, especially if you just hit extra special, you lose half your health bar on Maddening Descent. I don't know how to feel necessarily the fact that the rest of his kit was untouched, considering Rapid Fire and Prime Time are in the midst, meaning that, you know, he could just keep running a mud with Crooked Leverage, top spin, and just really boiling you down. But I think also with the fact that light hits are lowering the stagger threshold, that means he's actually gonna have to like really follow up on Crooked Leverage a lot more deliberately, rather than just using it to just be like, haha, now you're still not getting any stagger for the next 2.5 to 3 seconds. So I'm getting a little bit more of a closed cooldown. That's fair enough. I mean, it's all in the vein of Kazan buffs. Fits the bud affecting her most popular goalie gear. Should now correctly have cooldown reduced by a jet button on all casts originating on your side of the field. That's, well, I don't play Luna, so I'll just take it from your mains then. Now it's proving notable at exceptionally higher tiers of play where healing was best utilized. We're taking the power from her special as well as providing more counterplay options against her. Staggered growth halved. Ooh, that's huge, honestly. Lifeline increased by 5 seconds. Missing health reduced from half to 40. Range reduced. Proximity drone disarm time decreased. A very good nerfs, in my opinion. Just especially when we've had maps in rotation like Korean just did rotated out, but like Oni Village, for instance, to where you need to be controlling one corner, one lane. So let's say, like, for Korean, you get Atlas or Air Configuration. You just get to put out a proximity drone, and then it just stays there for the entire lane, and you're just kind of stuck with it. Oni Village, you just keep it in the corner, and then your proximity drone helps you as you move up with it. That's annoying. And then even if you get rid of the proximity drone early, you can't really bully now out just because she just had so much safety. She just, sentry drone, seaport spawner, just proximity drone, heals her, she just lifeline herself, heals her, and then just any other stagger traits just keeps her in the game and her teammates. So making it so that there's a lot less survivability is really, really good, considering she was able to just combat full bully compositions just by virtue of herself. And her team was able to just rely on her without even needing any stagger traits, quite frankly. So I think this is really good, and it brings her in line kind of like with Atlas of recognizing, alright, Celestial Intervention was used, that's already like a 50-second cooldown if I recall, so it's out for the set basically. Lifeline becoming 45 seconds puts a lot more pressure, and the fact that it's a little bit weaker means that you can't just use it as a pseudo eject button for now goalies as much now anymore, and at the same time too, it means that there's a lot more obvious power spiking when it comes to, okay, I think I can kill them before lifeline's back up again. Or Rasmus wasn't doing much in the brawl department, so touching that up a bit for him. Hope he notices and gives me a raise. I wish Rasmus would give me money too. Whiplash got 10 more power, 20 more not bad. Death Touch got 30 more power, hello? And 45 more not bad. Interesting. I feel it's not going to do too much for his power levels necessarily for the Whiplash change, considering it is light hit, but a little bit more power itself ain't going to hurt, and I'm not going to complain as Rasmus main. And the fact that Death Touch does 30 more damage does actually matter a good bit, because it's kind of hard sometimes to really gauge well when someone is on 1 tick of health, 1 pip. Because usually 1 pip of health equals about 200 to 250 health, depending on your striker scaling. And sometimes you need to be able to surprise people and pull them from the midfield, like immediately staggering them with Death Touch and pulling them immediately across the field. So because of that, it's a lot easier, I feel, to just go ahead full send it, especially if you have even like a spark of strength. And that's it. Because it really feels bad when you commit your ultimate Death Touch to try to KO somebody and they live with a sliver of staggers, so I think that's going to be pretty nice, all things considered. Rune was struggling at higher tiers when players are often blocking his pose before they could spawn. Generally like this counterplay, but this was a 1-2 sided. We lined up the players' light damage with their not bad to add some oomph to their fizzles. Yes, Rune counterplay is especially if he banishes somebody, or if he banishes the core, you would just stand on the core and then he can't start any of his gameplay, and it just becomes a toss-up between who gets the core next, which really hurts. So, damage going up, I think this is a wonderful, wonderful change, because it actually puts some threat on the enemies, because especially so, I've had games before to where it's like, Kazan was left open, a teammate pits Kazan, but then there's creation trades, so I want to pit Rune, for instance, or so. And unless my teammate and I are able to line up on the same page, Rune doesn't have that much good kill pressure unless you banish somebody on the edge, and, you know, you just get to knock them off, or you banish them, and then you have, like, Deadeye or something, and you want to commit all your cooldowns to kill somebody. And, honestly, with how, like, how there's survival traits already, like, there's been survival traits with Stagger Swagger existing again, with, you know, Stagger City constantly being in the Awakening rotation, though I might eat my words if I scroll down later for the Awakenings and everything like that. It's been hard to really actually put some good pressure on Rune without feeling like I wasted my Unstable Anomaly to just make sure you don't get your stagger bad. So I think this puts a lot more good pressure on the enemy for if they want to eat their hits. And at the very least, even though it's still going to be the right counterplay to eat the anomalies, at the very least you get rewarded for it because you force the enemy into a lose-lose. Not only into a, like, well, it's more like a lose-draw situation. Yes, they still get to 50-50 on the core, but they took a pretty good chunk of stagger damage on that end, which I'm pretty happy about as a Rune player. Similar to Luna, buff we're calling out to a power cord, now probably chains to nearby enemies if it initially hits the core. I thought that was like shadow patched or something, because I felt like my power cord was just never chaining anymore. Thank gods, dude. That's pretty nice. I'm very, very happy about that. That's a really good change. Cosmetics. Octavia got dressed up. They teased that back on January 4th. Ludwig Dubu. Oh, that was the Dubu skin? That's pretty funny. Dream Octavian Vice. Shogun Asher. That's also what they teased. Lud got a nameplate. You know you had to do it to them. And new emotes. That's always great. Okay. Geared Awakenings. Super Surge rotated out. Zentaro stats actually dropping down. Holy crap, dude. That's actually hilarious. Big Fish out. Interesting. One size trade out. Peach out. Reverb out, Egoist out. Wow, you remember how we said, I was talking about Stagger City being in the game? That's 3 Stagger traits out. So actually, kill meta could be really big. Egoist out too is going to take away Dolly's initiative, so they really, which really hurts for them, considering team player was one avenue, Egoist was another. That really hurts a good amount, but that's really interesting. Three size traits going out is the biggest thing. Rotated in Spark of Leadership's back in, so 5 Sparks is back on the menu, considering we had Spark of Leadership for literally like a week before it got rotated out. And if you don't remember what Spark of Leadership is, everybody, Spark of Leadership is, I think it's literally like you get 10 in every stat plus 20 for all your other Sparks, and this is spread equally among all your team. So if you already have Spark and Zodia going and you get Spark of Leadership, now everybody gets to share in those benefits, which is a very, very interesting trait because it's another altruistic trait, kind of like among Titans or team player, but it benefits Spark stacking itself, and it incentivizes people more if they want to potentially take a Spark at the opening awakening drop and go for the full 5 if it goes the full 5 sets. The only thing I'm seeing as a problem, of course, is if Spark of Leadership's offered at the beginning of a round, then it's going to be a fire up or team player scenario to where you really gotta hope that all your team takes it. That way everybody gets to benefit. Otherwise, it's just going to be a problem if one person didn't take. In that case, then your entire team's gonna just be naturally behind in literally every single stat. New traits, new awakenings. Recovery drone, gain 30% size. The first time each set would be KO'd prevented. Ooh, I like this very much so, because the thing that I always thought was the biggest double-edged sword is that when it came to strikers like Asher, like Etch, like Juliet, like Rasmus, size is a very much needed trait to get your game going for affecting your ability sizes, for affecting your hard forces, but of course, that means bigger hitbox, or leaving yourself up to more liabilities for just hits in general or so. So the fact that we actually get another defensive size trait is really nice, considering like Big Fish, Boat Diff, and then Demo were your core size increase traits. 2 of them offensive, 1 of them defensive. So the fact that Big Fish has been rotated out does hurt a little bit, but I really do like this, considering there's clear up and downsides to it. Yeah, you get the yeah, you don't get any stagger, but the fact is you get to stay alive, and it lets you actually draw out a lot more pressure since people have to actually finish their food on you. They actually have to KO you to get one benefit out, and it still lets you stay in the game a lot more. This is really, really interesting. I really like this, especially with how little I've seen Atlas recently. Explosive Entrance. So this is a big 3 trait, considering Super Surge is rotated out. Your impact abilities hit 12.5% harder. Oh, maybe Zentaro isn't out of the menu. I think that's actually even better, quite frankly, considering how it increases his dash range and then just all impact abilities. Actually, no, Zentaro's not off the menu with that, and I am very, very sad. That is very, very sad. That's a very kill-coded trait. Very interesting. I'm not going to deny, considering how everything else was utility, with aerials being projectiles, chrono being your buffs and debuffs, Super Surge just being raw 20% damage just felt bad sometimes, especially if you're, like, let's say you're Rasmus. Yeah, you're getting Ascension Whiplash for 20% damage on your 200 hit. That's just 22%. But the fact that it's 12.5 on your impact specifically now is really going to change the things up, I feel, a lot more. So, like, Zen Vice is going to have a field day with that, considering how instead of just straight damage, it's impact, meaning all of her own traits are just going to be impacted. Pun intended. That's actually stupid. Siege Machine. Projectiles get 30% travel or cast range. Creation get 30% duration and hit 15% harder. Another creation-coded trait. That's really interesting. Juno's gonna have a field day with that. I feel like we're gonna see another uptick in Juno bans, even though we got a Juno nerf, quite frankly, here. Very interesting. I would have to see how that goes, but I do like the idea of this. It's still a 50-50 trait, though, with you get projectile or you get creation benefits from it, so it could just be kind of like a bottom of the barrel pick for some strikers, whereas it could be absolutely like immediate best in slot for others, like Juno, like for instance, like I said. Does it just be good for some people, like, you know, oh, what's his face? Like Juno, not Juno, what am I trying to say here? like Luna, like Estelle, just for your projectile range. It would be good just for your creation, for your creations. And, well, actually, a good amount of the creation characters would benefit from this. Actress gets a little bit of astral projection. Dubu gets both his Bamboozle rollout and Tofu Fortress. Rune gets a little bit further range on his Banish, everything like that. It's actually a pretty good trade for creation characters, and okay for everybody else. Alright, I can see this, I just convinced myself a little bit more. Unstoppable. Oh, wait, they reworked it. I just saw Unstoppable, and I thought of Season 1 Unstoppable, to where it was 90% damage, it was 10% damage resistance and 90% knockback resistance. Data shielded potentially from 100% of damage and 100% knockback from the first hit you take, which recharges at the start of each round and after 7.5 seconds of not getting hit. This is going to be really, really good for those hard force strikers that I talked about before, which would be Etz, Juliet, like, etc., stuff like that. Or, because if they are staying on your side of the field, if an enemy Etz, Juliet, hard force striker is staying on your Dolmouth and you're like a Kai Dolly or so, you don't want to be wasting your barrage to to pop their shield, quite frankly, which hurts. Considering if you don't, considering if they just stay away from you and let that shield come up, they just wait for the core to come to you, and that could be really big of a problem. I'm gonna have to see how that plays out, quite frankly, because I always felt Unstoppable, while it does provide a unique niche in full knockback resistance, it always felt like the rich get richer. If you're winning, this just cascades, this just avalanches your ability already. Considering how if you're dying, if the enemies are dying, and so you're outgrowing them, as like Kazan, for instance, being able to take more stagger traits, like Big Fish, for example, meant that you have to play on your advantages, you took stagger away from them, and now you're even harder to kill and deal with. So we're gonna have to see how it goes. I still don't dislike the trait in general, pre-rework, and now where it is now, but I'm gonna have to see how it goes. It could be good defensively, but the fact is, especially in the higher ELOs, I feel, 7.5 seconds of not being hit, that's going to your goal line and getting the goalie orb, if you're staggered out, and then going back to the front, it's really only like 4 seconds. You basically have to hope that the core never comes to you, and you never get hit by a stray, even light hit, for that shield to come back, which, you know, in some Meta Strikers, this situation might happen a lot more than you think, but if you're really going to be pressured out, this is not going to be it for you. This is just going to be a Cascade Hard Force Striker trait, I feel. Castalast. We're happy with decisions we've made for Castalast and Chrono Boost, but they're a bit weaker. Buff duration increased by 5%, same with Chrono. Fair enough, I can see that. I haven't seen a big uptick in their pit rates recently. Or rather, like, I really haven't seen it pit as much in my game, so understandable. Fair change. A jet button was exceptionally strong on strikers that made good use of it. Yes, the fact that you didn't really snap back and be a third striker in the field is really good. And the cooldown was just the icing on the cake, especially if you had, like, Twin Drive for something. I'm working at Luna, of course. I'm working at Vice, of course. Everything like that. So, really good change. I'm just making it so that you keep the core utility while not immediately nuking the secondary effects. Spark of Leadership. We noticed the initial implementation of Spark of Leadership was strong. Okay, I always hear effect 50 or 40%. There you go. So, my initial assessment was wrong. I always did 50% of your total Spark stats. Now it's 40%. And yeah, very fair, very fair. Vicious. Core Hots are picking out the Vicious Vambrace's healing. Very fair, yep. Because especially if, let's say, a teammate died and then you were just dribbling the core, otherwise, you got so much free damage, free health from the core. And especially so, if let's say you're like Vicious Vice or something, for instance, you just charge the Supernova, you're getting half your health back on that. Toning it down is really good, because Vicious by itself is already a fine enough gear trait that you really don't need. Like the core traits, like once again, rich get richer. You just have to survive for so on even then. Bud Fitz's, nothing too much more to go on there on my end, quite frankly. So, in that case then, let us transition this over to our gameplay segment. I need to actually boot up Omega Strikers on this end, but I'll come back to you when we get to it. Alright, everybody. So, we're back in game now. Check the store. So, adding on to the Dream Era skin, we have Dream Vice. I really do like this. I really love what Odie is able to do when it comes to their space stuff. So, like, the Alpha Rad rune just looked really good itself in general. And, of course, the only sisters are going to be matching enough. Dream Octavia gets her first skin. And it's pretty nice, I feel, too. I really love the contrasting color palettes of the pink and purple with them all together. Don't know exactly how I feel about her hair, but... I mean... it just kind of looks a little weird to me. I mean, just ponytail in general. But maybe it just looks a little better in game. Just kind of looks flat, but... I mean, because it's like, well, the first, her original hair just had one full flat piece, it looks like, whereas the other one, I just said it's a little bit more pleated, but I probably just have to see it more in-game itself to really judge it out on that end then. Yeah, Vice, after Nightmare, she gets Dream, just so it's pretty nice in general. I'd really like to see what the effects are later on, but I don't have the money for that. Shogun Asher. Asher gets... yet another skin. Besides Juno, I think she's the person with the next most skins, right? Pretty nice, I'd say, all things considered. That's pretty cute. I really love the shield design, and once again, I just have to see how it is in-game, but maybe I'll just get some gameplay on that later on. And then, it's Bloody Dubu. Okay, that's really, really cute. This is really cute. So remember they posted just the shades by themselves. So it's like, is that actually part of the skin, or is just Odie teasing on their Twitter account? That's pretty darn cute, I gotta say. Not bad at all for these new sets of skins. I need to go over to practice real quick to check things out. I want to see that new UI. You really see how it looks. I'll pause and come back to it, guys. Alright. New UI, taking a look at it down here, you can see Julie has her little things right there. Probably just swapped Erasmus just for my own sake. No cooldown, spawn core, spawn enemy. So... oh wait, actually I should have my cooldowns up. And that's what we see. Okay! That's really interesting to have it be circles. And you can actually see it when it's upticking like that. Considering how we just had the squares and it still did the same thing, fact is the circles might be a little bit more readability. But the biggest thing is actually seeing the amount of energy that you're actually generating for your energy meter. Because once again, the biggest thing that I always felt was a problem for me was trying to gauge how much energy I actually had when I'm so close to getting a core flip. Because I've lost so many situations when I am like 90% near the core. When I'm 90% to my core flip, and I cannot tell if it takes one more dribble or not. So like, abilities visual and HUD, classic or new. So, like, on classic, you can see here, the problem that you have is that you can't tell how close you are to your energy. So with how close my energy bar is, I don't know if this is one more hit, if this is 2 more hits of the core. I don't know exactly how many more I'd need, and if I could actually just try to send it past the going now, if I can dribble one more time to try to get my flip. Like, I think I'd have it by strike 2 right there. So actually, I might just start running the new HUD. That way I know for a fact, alright, that's 75. So I know I can just dribble and then hold. I think that's a really nice change. I'm probably gonna have to take some time getting used to the new HUD, all things considered. But once again, the biggest thing of actually knowing how much energy I have, and especially getting to gauge a lot better on like seeing how much you're getting from the orbs, especially so. For instance, like, yeah, the orbs give you so much, and people still should be prioritizing them at all costs. Means that it's going to be a lot easier for me to actually recognize at any opportunity. Is this a dribble opportunity or not? Can I hold it a little bit more to flip, or do I just need to fully send it? The only thing I don't like about it, though, is when you do collect the orb, it goes into the decimals, 11.5. 19. I mean, okay, that might be every other orb in that case then, but my fat still stands of like, let's say you only got to pick up 1 orb. That number is so much smaller, and in the heat of the moment, I feel sometimes I might not be able to just take a wide side-eyed look and immediately see, is that 71.5? Is that 73.5? Am I literally 1 strike away from getting my core flip? What's going on here? So, I think it's a give and take with it, but overall, I like the readability of just still being able to actually see how close I am to core flip. Because, once again, that is the biggest issue of knowing, hey, do I have enough for it or not? Am I one dribble away or not? And, well, I can't stress it more than enough. That's just the biggest concern of knowing and taking that variable out of, instead of just having to read by the bar itself, just knowing intrinsically. Alright, 3 strikes or 1 ability cast, and then I get my core flip. That's really good. But otherwise, that's pretty much all I really got to say about the patch notes today, so happy Omega Strikers Valentine's Day, everybody, wherever you are, wherever you may be, whether you're on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or more. It's been your Wonderful Wind Maid, the Cruz Ship Servant, Chartreuse Proxy, ever and always at your service, and thank you for joining me on this patch rundown today. Good luck to everybody in their Omega Strikers games, and long live Omega Strikers!